All right, welcome. Let's jump right in. We're talking about the C in CRUD from MongoDB. That's create operations. We're going to break down exactly how you get your data into the database, starting right now.
So if you're coming from a SQL background, you know insert into like the back of your hand, right? It's your bread and butter. But how does that translate when you step into the world of MongoDB? Let's figure that out.
Okay, first things first. Let's get our terminology straight so we're all on the same page. In SQL, you've got your tables and rows. Simple. In MongoDB, you're going to hear collections and documents. Think of a document as a super flexible JSON-style row, and it's got this special primary key, the _ID field. Getting this down now is going to make everything else click into place.
All right, before we even type a single line of code, there's one really critical concept we got to talk about: atomicity. In MongoDB, this means when you write to a single document, it's an all-or-nothing deal. The operation either works perfectly or it fails completely, and your original document is left totally untouched. There's no weird half-finished state, which is just fantastic for keeping your data clean and reliable.
Okay, enough theory. Let's see how this actually works. We'll start with the most basic thing you'll do, inserting just one single document. So, you've got your data, right? One neat little document, all ready to go. What's the magic command to get it into your collection?
And the answer is just beautifully simple. It's the insertOne method. I mean, you can't get much clearer than that, right? It does exactly what it says on the tin. You just point to your collection, call the method, and pop your document in.
So let's take a look at the syntax here. You see DB, then we pick our person collection, and then we just call insertOne. And that thing inside the parentheses, that's our document. It's just an object with some fields: ID, name, and age. Super clean, super readable.
Okay, inserting one document is great, but let's be real. You're often dealing with way more data than that. What happens when you have 100 documents? 1,000? Let's look at how MongoDB handles inserting data in bulk.
Yeah, this is a situation you're going to run into all the time. Maybe you're importing a CSV file or you're processing a whole bunch of events. You definitely don't want to be making a separate trip to the database for every single item. So, what's the move when you need to insert a whole bunch of documents at once?
Well, just like we had insert once, MongoDB gives us the equally obvious insertMany method. It's built from the ground up for these kinds of bulk jobs, and it's super efficient.
Now, the key difference here is really simple, but it's important to get right. Instead of just one document object, like we did with insertOne, insertMany needs an array of documents. That's it. That's the main change you have to remember.
And here's what that looks like. We're calling insertMany, and we're passing in an array. You can see it with those square brackets. Inside the array, we just list out our documents, one after the other, separated by commas. MongoDB then takes that whole batch and sends it over in one go. So much more efficient, and you still get that atomicity for each document inside the batch.
Okay, so looking back at those last couple of examples, something might have jumped out at you. We've been manually adding that ID field, right? Now, if you're coming from the SQL world with its auto-incrementing keys, that's probably setting off some alarm bells, and it leads to a very important question.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably thinking, wait a second, what happens if I just leave out the ID? Do I really have to come up with a unique ID myself every single time? And that is a totally fair question.
And the answer is actually one of my favorite things about MongoDB. It's so convenient. If you insert a document and you just don't include an _ID field, MongoDB just creates one for you, automatically. You don't have to do a thing.
The key thing to remember, though, is that no matter who creates the _ID, you or MongoDB, that field is the primary key for the document. Its value has to be unique inside that collection. It's your foolproof way of grabbing that exact document later on.
So what is this thing that MongoDB generates? It's not just some random number, it's a special data type called an ObjectId. And this thing is a little work of art. It's a 12-byte identifier that's engineered to be super small, incredibly fast to create, and pretty much guaranteed to be unique, not just on your machine, but across your entire database cluster. It's pretty cool. Phew, okay. So, after all that, what are the big things you really need to walk away with? Let's boil it all down. It really just comes down to these two methods, right? InsertOne is your go-to for a single document. But the second you have more than one, you should be reaching for insertMany. Passing an array isn't just about writing cleaner code, it's way faster because you're making fewer trips to the database. All right, let's nail down the essentials one last time.
Create operations mean you're adding documents to a collection. Every single write is atomic at the document level, which keeps your data safe. And you never ever have to stress about primary keys because MongoDB has your back with that automatic unique _ID field if you forget it.
And this all leads us to a much bigger, more interesting question. Now that you know how to get data in, it makes you think about what you're putting in. You know, in SQL, you'd be thinking about foreign keys and joins, but in MongoDB, you can actually embed documents inside other documents. So, how does that power change the way you model your data for things like one-to-one or one-to-many relationships?
Hey, if this explainer helped clear things up for you, do me a favor and hit that like and share button. It really helps other people find it. And of course, subscribe for more explainers that cut right to the chase. Thanks for tuning in.